Hi guys, if you've seen my previous videos, you know that I'm a huge fan of the worker short dart breach and the short darts. In this video, I'm going to show you how to install them into your Retaliator, and at the end I'm going to have a shooting range just to show you how accurate these are. So let's get started. To begin, take off the barrel of your blaster, put it aside. We won't be needing these. So this is a almost stock Retaliator. All the internals are stock except the spring and the trigger catch. So to begin, you're going to unscrew all the screws and take it apart. There are a lot of tutorials on YouTube that should teach you how to do this. Alright, and that's the open Retaliator. So first we're going to take the trigger catch out and put that aside. And the trigger. There's a lot of locks that we're going to be removing, such as these over here. So we can throw these out in the bin. You'll never need these again. They're quite useless. Okay, so I'm doing a full upgrade. So this entire breech and the sled I'm going to be throwing away. And also this unit at the front. You won't be needing this anymore either. So you can take off all the screws from here. You're going to want to hold on to these two screws because we're going to be putting the worker parts in its stead. I'm just going to leave the screws in this so I don't forget where they go. And you can throw all these parts away because you won't be needing them anymore. So this is all you're left with. Now you can unscrew these to take off the priming handle. You're going to want to do that on both sides. And I won't be needing any of these parts anymore, so I can throw them out. You're also going to want to do it on the other side. There we go. So I forgot to mention that for this mod, I'm going to be installing the bolt action for the Retaliator, which I've been meaning to try it for a very long time. I've been very excited about it. So these are the bolt handles. Let me take them out and show you. Oops, I ripped that. Yeah. So they're actually made from metal. They're quite heavy. And I'm going to be putting them on the metal sled. Alright, so you're going to need a flathead screwdriver to undo these. So you're going to want to twist towards the arrows to loosen it. Take it apart. There you go. Worker has given me one of these pins that goes in here. So all you need to do is push that through. And you can use a paper pin to slide it in if it's being a little difficult. There we go, that's all the way in. Cool. So that's that. I'm a bit confused about how I'm going to put these in though. Oh, that went in all the way, finally. Maybe it just needs a bit more pressure. How on earth is this going to work? Uh-oh. This is not good. Not good at all. Not good at all. I think I'm gonna have to take it out. Able to take a bit more of my abuse. Yep, it's coming out. There we go. Okay. So, how do we get the second one in? Why was it not going in before? And, oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, so how do we get the second one in? Why was it not going in before? And, oh, there we go. Okay, so how do we get the second one in? Why was it not going in before? And, oh, there we go. Okay, so how do we get the second one in? Why was it not going in before? And, oh, there we go. Okay, so how do we get the second one in? Why was it not going in before? And, oh, there we go. Okay, so how do we get the second one in? Why was it not going in before? And, oh, there we go. Okay, so how do we get the second one in? Why was it not going in before? And, oh, there we go. Okay, so how do we get the second one in? Why was it not going in before? And, oh, there we go. Okay, so how do we get the second one in? Why was it not going in before? And, oh, there we go. Okay, so how do we get the second one in? Why was it not going in before? And, oh, there we go. Okay, so how do we get the second one in? Why was it not going in before? And, oh, there we go. Okay, so how do we get the second one in? Why was it not going in then suddenly decided to go in. Can I possibly use the pliers to get in? No, I don't think so. Come on. What is happening here? It's very difficult to get this in. It's not cooperating at all, and I'm scared to break it. Maybe I can try a bit on this side. Come on, get in. I'll hold it with a screwdriver. This might work. Just pull it in. I think I'm damaging the screw by doing that. It's not the best idea. Oh, that worked. See, there was just a bit of aluminium that needed to come off it. I think this is aluminium, or maybe it's metal. I can't tell. Alright. Fantastic. I'm quite happy with that now. So, this will go in. Back in, like so. Then we'll put this in. And that way, the screws can't come out anymore. Is this in? Yes, it's in. Okay. Alright. So that was by far the hardest part to get in. But it's in now, so that's good. So this is the next part. I'm not quite sure what this is called, but you can see what it looks like. Now we can start putting things back together. So this, I can take this out for now. Just comes in like that. Okay. The screws that we put away earlier can come out and go back in to its original spots. Yep, so there's, don't put them in the front ones that are blue. You put them on the screws that are behind. There we go. So that's what it'll look like. Okay. So obviously this is going to go in there and push it back and forward. So the next bit we need to prepare is the plunger tube. So the plunger tube just sits like that right there. It does come with these extra plastics and tubes. What I like to do is take this out, pop this plastic off, and I like to replace it with a thicker worker seal that they give me. There we go. I've also put a bit of lube on this, bit of lubricant. Cool. There we go. And yep, that's in properly. That's that. Alright, so all these extra parts I don't put in my blaster. I'm not really sure why they're there. I have no personal use for them. That's a much better seal. That's a fantastic seal. Okay. So the plunger tube has these little grooves at the bottom. These face down, not up. So that can be a little confusing. Make sure that they're facing the correct way around. Okay. We're going to be putting this spring in. I suspect that this is a 9 kilogram spring. This is the 5 kg that I just took out of it. I'm going to put that away because we are not going to need that anymore. That is a good spring. I'm pretty sure this is a 9 kilogram spring. So, put this through to there. Feed that screw through it. There we go. And then you can put these back in. Put the trigger back in. The trigger catch, I should say. Okay, and the final thing we need is the trigger, which ought to sit here comfortably. There we go. That's all we need. It's a very simple setup in comparison to what the Retaliator looked like when we first opened it. It's much easier to put back together now, and it's just a far better setup. All the locks are really a hindrance. Okay, then we put this cover back on, if you should want it back on. Some people don't, it's not necessary. Cool, and that's it. Now we can put it back together and fire it and see how it goes. There we go. Alright guys, so I had to reopen the whole system again, and turns out there's a major flaw with the entire design of this. Because these screws stick out a bit on this side, they can't really go in all the way forward, so the breech can't even make a seal. That's as far as it goes forward. It needs to go forward a great deal more to make a seal. So I think that might be something that worker needs to perhaps address. And maybe this is one worker system that I can't recommend to people because it doesn't seem to work. I might have to make my own modifications to it in order to make it work. Alright guys, so I managed to get it working off camera. So all that happened was, the reason it wasn't going full enough is because it kind of just had to be, I had to play around with it for a bit and just, it kind of had to groove its way in there and kind of cut a bit of the plastic out, carve it out a little. So that works fine now. So I'm just putting in the final pieces. The reason the trigger wasn't catching was because I wasn't pulling it all the way back. So that's something that I'm going to have to become accustomed to. It's quite like, it's hard to explain, but you have to pull it much further back than you'd expect for it to actually catch the trigger. Other than that, it fires fine. It's not as good as I thought it would be, to be honest. I'm going to do a demonstration of it tomorrow and get a real idea of how well this works. But all in all, I'm not really sure what to think of this. I think it's not the best thing in the world. I can't even prime it on this side, in fact. I can only do it on this side. Then it'll catch. So let me get a few darts. So that's one dart. So as you can see, on this side, it will not prime for me for some reason, but it will prime on this side, which is a bit of a shame. I bought two of these so I could do it from both sides, but either way. So yeah, let me see if the barrel will fit this, because sometimes you may need to cut this out. In fact, you will always need to cut this out to make space for the part that sticks out from here. And yeah, you'll need to do it with this as well. It will not fit this, fortunately. So that'll need to be I'll need to do that tomorrow and put it all together and show you a shooting test of this setup. After many hours of tinkering around and trying to mitigate the issues of this bolt action setup, I have decided that it's perhaps beyond my expertise, as this system is flawed from the design. I believe that the breech and the bolts from the bolt action would have to be one unit for this device to be functional. But because they are two separate units and the bolts are very sharp at the edge, they scrape the magazines and prohibit the movement of the bolt action. Sadly, this is perhaps one of my favorite Retaliators that I've built, However, I won't be able to use it at any games as it will simply not be functional, especially under stress and heavy use. So I can't recommend this to anyone unless you want to just use it for looks. I did do a shootout with this setup and I did not notice any difference between this and the previous video that I made testing the Walker short darts. I was getting great accuracy from 5 meters, and as you went to 10 and 15, the accuracy consistently dropped. The next stage for me is to find a way to install a scar barrel to increase the accuracy, because as you can see, I seek accuracy over range and I want to create the most accurate blasters that I possibly can.